Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Smells Like. I'm Josh. So good to see you. Let's talk about Dior Homme. This is a full review on this men's fragrance from the house of Dior. This one came out first in 2005, and the perfumer was Olivier Polge. It saw a reformulation and a bit of an update in 2011. And the perfumer then was Francois Demachy, the current in-house perfumer for the house of Dior. Now what I have here, this is the reformulated version or the current version of this. Give you a quick look at the bottle here. The original from 2005, the only difference in it is in the bottle, this black stem is silver, and so that's how you can tell if you've got the so-called vintage, the first formulation before this was updated by Francois Demachy. And for me, I'm not really that interested in the original formulation just because I am completely satisfied with this, the way it smells, the way it performs. This is one of my favorite men's designer fragrances that is currently on the market. To me, just really nothing wrong with the way that this smells. This really checks all the boxes for me, but we will get into those specifics in just a minute. But first, let's start with the notes. In the top, we have lavender, sage, and bergamot. The heart notes are iris, amber, and cacao, and the base notes are vetiver, patchouli, and leather. Now, what does this smell like? Well, it opens with the lavender, sage, and bergamot, and you really get equal parts of all three. You get this really shiny Dior bergamot, and if you've ever smelled anything from Dior that has bergamot, I feel like it's a noticeable kind of bergamot, or the way maybe that Francois Demachy does bergamot. It's a really juicy, nice, long-lasting bergamot, and that is mixed with these herbal aspects of the lavender and the sage. It really is a nice, fresh, kind of unique opening. It has that citrus, but it also has that herbal aspect, a little bit of that floral from the lavender. Just really is classy, and it doesn't take much time at all for the heart notes to begin peeking in. You have one of the stars of this fragrance, which is that iris, that slightly cosmetic, slightly makeup-y, very buttery, slightly powdery, white floral iris, but also, has a little bit of that I think orris root, which gives you that kind of buttery, rich iris smell. It really is one of the stars of the show, and it starts creeping in just a few minutes after those opening notes come out of the bottle there. Along with that are this amber accord. It's kind of like a dusty amber, and it never really rears its head too fiercely. I wouldn't consider this an amber fragrance. In this, it's there, it's noticeable, but to me, it really plays an equal part with the iris and the cacao in the heart of this fragrance. That cacao is this sort of dry, almost chocolatey cocoa vibe. It almost goes chocolatey, and there are some times in this fragrance where you get different glimpses of different things. Nothing ever is really out in front totally. It's always got the supporting players around, but at different times in the fragrance, different things kind of show up. And this, sometimes when the cacao is really showing up a lot, especially as this begins to dry down, you get this almost chocolatey vibe, but it never quite goes that far. It just keeps in this sort of bitter, powdery, dry cocoa vibe. That mixed with that dusty amber, the slightly powdery iris, gives the heart of this fragrance really kind of a powdery thing. And I typically don't enjoy powder in my fragrances. This has that and still maintains really a decidedly masculine vibe. And I think a big part of that is that the base notes in this fragrance are really strong, fairly dark, and decidedly masculine. You have vetiver, patchouli, and leather. And again, those all, I think except for the vetiver, show equal time. Maybe the leather more than the others. I definitely do get that leather. This isn't a leather fragrance. This isn't a patchouli fragrance. This isn't a vetiver fragrance. It's not an amber fragrance. It's not an iris fragrance. It's not a cocoa fragrance. It just has all of those aspects interwoven into this really great tapestry that is so interesting, So unique for men's fragrance. When this came out, there were no men's fragrances that used things like iris, especially used some of those things, lavender, iris, sage, and then put those with things like vetiver, patchouli, and leather. This broke the mold for what a designer men's fragrance could be. It brought these other aspects that really hadn't been introduced into men's designer fragrances. And that iris note really is what sets this apart, but it really isn't just that. It's all these supporting players, the way they work together. Longevity is decent with this. I get about 8 to 9 hours longevity. The sillage is moderate. Projection, though, is good to excellent on me. I get a lot of notice with this, like at stores, if I'm shopping, the grocery store, it seems like almost every time I'm wearing this and I have to go to like the grocery store or shopping somewhere, the person that's checking me out or helping me at a restaurant always seem to remark on this, and even hours after I've put it on. So I really feel like this projects well and really does it for a long time. All the aspects of this fragrance as it plays out and really develops, it seems like they all kind of stay with it. Hints of everything comes in strong at the beginning of its presence, from the top to the mid to the base, and then they like roll along in the background, just really creating this end amalgamation of all these amazing notes. So this has a high uniqueness factor, a high complement factor, high wearability. I don't think that this is hard to wear. Dior Homme Intense, to me, is harder to wear than this. The Dior Homme Parfum, a little harder to wear than this. For me, those are clearly for formal occasions. Like Dior Homme Intense is a great fragrance, but I don't know when to wear it other than for something formal. And I rarely have to, I really find myself in formal situations. To me, Dior Homme could work in a formal situation, but it also works in just regular, everyday, casual situations. I think it works great. It's a really versatile fragrance in that it could work great for work, for a date, for casual, just hanging out, for going out, all the way up to, a suit and tie or a more formal thing like a wedding or something. I would choose Dior Homme Intense for the more formal stuff and use this maybe for more casual things, but this would work in any of those situations. So really versatile for that. Price-wise, this isn't too bad either. It is Dior, so you're gonna pay a little bit, but the 100 ml bottle of this retails for $95, and then there's a 50 ml that retails for $75. So really at full retail, which this is totally worth. I paid retail for this. It totally is worth that, and I don't really think you're paying that much. I think it's a pretty good value for the money. At $95 for 100 mils of this, this really is just great quality juice that I find myself enjoying, especially in the fall days that we're having now, some cooler days in the beginning of autumn. And this is one of my most worn autumn fragrances. This, along with L'Instant de Guerlain, both the EDT and EDP, I use those for the fall and winter, but the EDT more for fall. And Chanel Allure Homme those are kind of my triad of perfect fall designer scent. And this one really stands up in my book as a total masterpiece. I can't see ever not having and just really enjoying this fragrance. And what makes it even better is that I just get so many compliments with this, and I wear fragrances for myself. I really don't get too wrapped up in what other people think, but it doesn't hurt, honestly, to have a lot of people tell you that you smell great and they love what you're wearing. And I get that a lot with this one, kind of surprisingly so. To me, I would think maybe people would think this is, I hate this term. A lot of people call it metrosexual, which is just a really stupid term for saying that somebody has style. So, I'm in love with this one. Dior Homme Intense, I also like. I love Dior Homme Parfum. Dior Homme Intense is just okay for me because it is so limited, in my opinion, of when you can wear it. To me, Dior Homme is the superior of all of them from the line, from Dior Homme Eau, Sport and cologne, they're kind of in their own fresh category. But in terms of like Dior Homme, Dior Homme Eau, Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme Parfum, I'm going with the original Dior Homme every time, just because of the versatility. It checks all the boxes for me and is just a real pleasure to wear. So that's it for this review of Dior Homme, the Eau de Toilette. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this one. Have you had any experience with the reformulation versus the original, the vintage version, any differences that you noticed there? Let me know any of those. Let me know that down in the comments. I'd be real interested to know. And if you'd like to see this again sometime, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you again right here at the Smells Like Fragrance channel for another video. Thanks so much for watching.